yourselves to leave the prison one. Show some love. Hold each other.
Welcome to the Princess Akpabio show. On this show, we change minds and change attitudes on how you perceive things in life generally. In life, we have so many questions but fewer answers concerning certain issues that we are facing. And that's why I'm here, to give you the kind of answers that you may be looking for the questions that you have. I am your friend, I am your sister, I am your coach. I'm here to make your day a blissful one. Welcome.
We are changing minds and changing attitudes.
You are watching the Princess Akpabio show.
Abuse. Particularly today in the world that we live in, we see that women are physically abused on a daily basis. And really, they can talk about
Change your minds and change your attitudes.
Welcome back to the Princess Akpabio show. We've been talking about abuse and all forms of abuse. We've talked about physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse. We've talked about causes of abuses. Financial insecurity, low self-esteem, somebody's background and orientation, lack of education can lead a man to be abusive to a woman that he's in a relationship with. So what are the actions that we could take to actually help to curb abuse against women in the society? Although there's been a lot of improvement globally and people are rising up to the occasion to say, we're saying no to physical abuse. And of course, United Nations are also involved in abuse against women on how to curb it. There's still so much work to be done to help victims who have been physically abused. And so we need to look at it from this perspective now. There's a lot of religious abuse on women as well. If we can come together as a body, believing in God, whether you call him Allah, whatever your religious background calls God, I believe that if we reference God as the creator and the giver of life, and that all humans were created equal by God, and we have value for life and how somebody else is being treated, the golden rule, do unto others as you will have them do unto you. I believe that if we have so much value on that point where before we lift our hands to hit somebody, before we open our mouth to abuse somebody, before we withdraw or withhold our finances from helping our spouses or girlfriend in a relationship, if we could just put ourselves in a person's shoes, how would that person feel? If it were to be done to me, how will I feel? I believe that if we give consideration to another person's feelings and their thoughts about that action we're about to take against them, if done to us, how would we feel? I strongly believe that we have started a war against abuse. First of all, reshaping our mentality, our mental state of thinking, reasoning, how we value people. So we should introduce back value into our system. When you value something, you will elevate that thing. And when you elevate that thing, you will worship that thing. When we say worship, we mean that you would cherish, you would care, you would love, you will appreciate, you will stand up for what you value. You will defend what you value. A lot of people living in our world today do not value women. They see women as furnitures. And they are not. Women are not furnitures. Women deserve a spot on the table. Why don't you give it to them? It starts with our homes. It starts with the man that we marry. It starts with our husbands. If our husband can learn to show their friends and their family members and everybody else around in our communities how much they value us, believe me when I say the community doesn't have a choice but to value a woman that is being valued from home. When you devalue a woman before your friends and your family members and the community, what do you think is going to happen to her? Definitely she will be devalued. So let us learn to value a woman and her contribution to our communities. Women, you want to curb abuse against yourself? Become financially independent. You have all this education. You've gone to school. You have all this exposure, yet you come back home and you sit at home and you don't want to do anything. You want everything to be given to you by a man. Of course, he will abuse you. My late father used to say to me, a man would never treat you the way he knows you deserve to be treated. He would treat you the way you allow him to treat you. And a lot of women have gotten into these boredom. I call it boredom because when you are not doing anything for yourself, where you are productive for yourself, where you are physically stable, financially buoyant for yourself, you get yourself into this boredom. What do I mean by boredom? You sit and wait for the man to give you money. Money to do your hair, money to do your nails, money to buy clothes, money to buy food, money to buy your lingerie, money to go out and eat out and hang out with your friends, money to take the children out. You basically don't have any say nor deed in this man's house because what? Everything you are enjoying, the man gave it to you. And so basically he sees that if you don't give it, if he doesn't give it to you, what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything. I mean, so he has gotten you to a point where you are so dependent on him on 100%. Women, you need to get up and be financially independent. Yes, some women would say, but Princess, I would like to get a job. I would like to work, but my husband would not let me go to work. Question that your husband needs to answer for you. What if he dies today? That's going to the extreme. What will happen to you and his children? Okay, what if he loses his job? What will happen to your finances? Are you ready to beg to survive? I mean, with the way the economy of the world is going right now with the COVID-19 pandemic, one income is not enough anymore. Unless, you're Bill Gates or you're Dangote. Unless you're one of the multi-billionaires that has been mentioned by Forbes magazines that we know. Or could it just be real money or is paper money? So think about it from that perspective. You have a lot of defense for yourself. If you die today, what happens to us? If you lose your job today, what happens to us? What if the business crashes? What happens? I strongly believe that in every relationship, we should bring in 100%. It's no longer 50-50 in every relationship. It should be 100%. Think about it. Do the math. I give you 100%, you give me 100%. You're missing 25, we still have 100% and 75 left over. But if you bring in 50 and I have 50, and we are supposed to always be on 100%, and we are missing 30, we have 70 left over. That means we are 30% short of what we need to survive. So I strongly believe that if you become financially independent, you will help the man, and it will bring a lot of respect in that relationship. We don't have to see another woman lose her life again. We don't want to see that again. Neither do we want to see a man being killed by a woman. None of these things is acceptable to us as human beings. We were not created to destroy one another. We were created to build one another. Women, become educated. Yes. Get yourself an education. People will say, okay, so I'm too old to go back to school. Okay. Can you learn trade? That's education. Can you? Can you become an entrepreneur? Can you do business? Can you do something for yourself that would make you stand up for yourself? Where you gain your husband's respect and he would value you again. Education. Educate yourself about what's going on around you. Some women from January to December, they don't even know what's happening in their communities. They are just there. They believe in gossip. They said, she said, I was told, I heard from. That's not how we're going to curb abuse in our society. We can only curb abuse in our society when we become informed. Dare to dare. I dare you to dare. Dare to get out of your comfort zone. Dare to be what you never thought you could be. Dare to be this person that when the world looks at, they say, wow, she dared. And nothing wrong with being the first to dare. Dare to go for that office. Dare to take your rights. Know your right, take your right. There to say my future is in my hands. And I can achieve anything that I want to achieve. I don't have to depend on the man to be who I was created to be. I've heard stories where women would tell me if I tried to go out to sing, my husband would physically abuse me or he would lock me inside the door. Why did you marry the man? Have you lost the value for the man? Or has the man lost value for you? What's going on? I don't believe that anybody should stay in any relationship that has abuse in it. It leads to a lot of trauma. It leads to a lot of instability emotionally. High blood pressure is real. And you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have to live with it. You don't have to structure your life based on what somebody else dishes out for you. Dare to stand up for yourself. Dare to be a go-getter. Dare to say, I can do it. Dare not to be left relegated to the background. There is something that I always say and always believe in. I don't believe in anybody giving me their own narratives about my life and what I should achieve and what should I attain, what I should step for, what I should aspire to be. I believe that I should write my own narrative for anybody to read. You read my narrative about myself the way that I want you to read it. You don't have to give me your narrative because your narrative is going to be flawed. You really don't know me that much. You really don't know the things that I haven't told anybody about myself. So why would you want to write my narratives? If I allow you to write my narrative, you're just going to write it the way it pleases you or what you think is best for people to read about me. So I dare to write my own narratives, to be what I want, because I do not want to see myself in the place of being abused by anybody. And I don't take abuse lightly. I don't give anybody the opportunity to abuse me. And you don't have to answer to everything anybody says about you. Women, you want to stop abuse against yourself. Get up, speak up for yourself, get help. There are so many women around that you could talk to. There are so many men who are not abusers that you could talk to and you could get help. Don't die in silence. Don't say, oh no, I don't want to talk. What will society say? Society has been here before we got here. Society would always be here when we leave here. After all is said and done, I want you to know that together we have to stand to fight this menace that has claimed so many lives in our society. We can only win the war against abuse in our communities, in our homes, in our society, in our nations, if we stand together to fight. If we stand together to give women the backing that they need. If we stand together to encourage women that they can be everything that they set out to be in this life. Remember, we are accountable to God when the time comes, how we spent our time here on earth. No matter what you do, stand up in this life to defend a good cause. When you see a woman being abused, don't just walk and pass. Stop and say no to abuse against women. And that is changing minds, changing attitudes. Until I come again your way on another episode, I am Princess Pat Akpabio, and as always, to take care of yourself. And bye for now.
Things are never what they seem to be. Changing minds, changing attitudes. Bring ourselves to live a peace and one. Changing minds, changing attitudes. Bring ourselves to live a peace and one. Show some love, hold each other's hands. In confidence we'll make the world